when people get my name wrong. She's coming to us live and in living color from Baltimore, Maryland. All right, welcome.
Thank you, Patrice. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
Looking forward to
so
it.
introduce yourself.
Like she said, my name's Matthew Mayer. I'm a graphic designer here in Baltimore, Maryland. I've been designing probably for 23 years or something since I was in high school. Um, I do a lot of work with a lot of bands. I also do a lot of stuff in the health industry because I do have a day job with a marketing and publishing company as well as my freelance career. So that's probably a good summary right there.
All right, so music. Do you have personal
Yes.
love for music, personal tie to music?
Yes, I play in a jazz and funk quartet here in the city. So I do all of our promotional stuff for that, posters, logos, stickers, any kind of shirts. And then I also play in a more modern rock band. So again, I do a lot of the stuff in that as well. We do hire some outside people for that as well, because it's good not to have your hand in everything constantly. So,
Yeah.
just play some of the music, but through being in bands over 20 some odd years, everybody always wants logos and t-shirts and stickers. So that's definitely where my first clientele, so to speak, started.
Okay,
Just kind of grew
entertainment.
from there. Yeah.
So, how does music impact your design perspective?
Well, I think it probably from when I would probably say just album artwork in general. I collect vinyl records. I love having the big, huge piece of art, and there's so much great art that was made back in the old jazz records, the old Blue New records, all the way up to, through the 70s and the 80s. Music is definitely a driving force while I design. When I have a really hard deadline, I tend to listen to very fast, aggressive music that kind of gets me like in the zone. I just start, Command C and Command V, and just constantly just going. When it's more of a creative flow thing, it's definitely like classical music and stuff like that is always something that gets the juices going when I'm sketching and things like that. So, but I mean, music is just, it's all, behind me, there's instruments everywhere.
Yeah, that's where my questions are coming from, because I'm like, okay, there's that over there.
Yeah.
There's
There's like 5 basses over there.
Yeah.
It's my dad's old guitar. So it's music. So yeah, creativity is all, whether it's music or listening to music, playing music, doing all whatever it is, it's always creatively. So it all interlocks.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Several different types of design work, as many people do, but we normally have that one area where we get the most of our fulfillment or passion fulfilled from. What would that area be for you?
I really love doing poster design, like large format
Mm,
design, like really heavy on topography, like a lot of those old Blue Note records and stuff like that. That's definitely one of my favorite things to do, is to take, maybe 2 words, and design them in a very intricate, simple kind of, I know that sounds counterintuitive, intricate and simple, but, just like a very simple, beautiful design, kind of minimalist in a way, without getting everything too busy. So I'd probably say like large format poster design. Like I would love to do billboards and things like that. Like
oh,
just,
okay.
just things with like one sentence, one image, and it's just like, how can you really get that point across, without muddying everything up, not, and I do plenty of other more complicated things as well. So,
You know what I just thought about? I just thought about dance companies.
hmm
They usually have some type of artwork that spans the side of a building during their, so that would be ideal for
yeah.
you.
Like Paula Shear did with the, what was it, the New York, she did all the ones with the tap dancing and stuff in New York. She's done,
Okay.
like, I can't think of the
Okay.
dance troupe up there that she did, but yeah, like a lot of that stuff, like the Saul Boss stuff, or Saul Bass, and like just, yeah, large format, which I think is the reason why I've done a lot of poster work for bands and festivals here in the city, like street festivals and things like that, just promotional flyers, because it's usually about, just trying to grab someone's attention really quick off the bat, and then
Hmm.
communicating what they need to know really quickly, so it's like they can glance and go, like a billboard
Right.
driving by on the highway. But yeah, like dance companies, ballets, all that kind of stuff. Like I would love, love, love. That's a lot of my favorite kind of artwork. So
Okay. Cool. Cool. So, how do you market your services now?
a lot of now living in the Baltimore city. At first, it was just really trying to meet people. It's like when I
Mhm.
first moved here 10 years ago. Now there's a little bit of word of mouth. We're keeping that good client relationship going to where when they run into somebody else, it's like, oh, I got a guy. Like I got a design guy. Like I had a realtor, that I worked for a few years, and he got me a few other things, and I do a lot of package design and a lot of direct marketing for a local CBD company, and they
Okay.
and they push me off to all the other types of people that they run to in like the natural health world. So I feel like just a lot of it's just like word of mouth travel here in the city.
Hmm.
Um, Instagram, like social media and stuff, LinkedIn. It's mostly that, really, to be honest with you. So I guess
Okay.
it's the advantage of being in the city, and then Baltimore is very much like a small town.
Hmm.
Everybody knows everybody, it seems. So
Yeah. So
it
you can get
helps.
a lot of traction from referrals.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
So I know you work for a healthcare marketing publishing
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
company, and you have your business. Tell me, how has it impacted your work at your job? How has COVID-19 impacted that? And on the flip side, with your business, how it has impacted it?
My regular 9 to 5, we've been working from home since March or whatever. Our business has been a little up and down for some different various reasons. We're a direct marketing company as well, so people not making money, not clicking on links, and not buying stuff's kind of been a little iffy. Um, so it's been fine though. Otherwise, like we're still doing okay. As far as like my own stuff, I've definitely slowed down a bit to where I would normally be getting I'd be doing a lot of poster work now and a lot of promotional stuff for events through the city all through the summer. That's event season. Everybody's outside. Everyone's doing things.
Hmm.
So a lot of that work fell through. I was planning to do some packaging design too for some local breweries and things like that. And a lot of that had to get halted as well because they weren't bringing people into their breweries. So, they had to cut costs and they couldn't do everything they wanted to do this year. So there's been a lot of that, just kind of, I've had some other clients though that I've actually been busier, and actually working from home has kind of been a blessing with that. Being able to
Yeah.
balance my time better between the 9 to 5, to where if I'm
Hmm.
slow for the 9 to 5, I can hop over here and do this. So it's had its ups and downs, but definitely
Yeah.
missing just the summer of what would normally be, besides going out, just like designing all that fun stuff in the summer. Like such a weird year.
Yeah. It's been such a weird year because, when we went into this weird thing, by June, we were like,
Yeah,
and the things we thought would happen didn't happen. And like you said, some of the business picked up and
yeah,
they've skyrocketed just by the change in our world.
yeah, yeah,
And then other things just fell off by the
yeah,
wayside.
totally.
And those who couldn't pivot, they had to learn, they had to think,
Yeah,
which is the sad reality. And then there are those organizations that I'm familiar with that weren't doing bad and had a really solid, secure um, constituency or target based audience, but they had been mismanaging funds before COVID.
yep,
So what would have taken them through, they couldn't because the books were already out of whack.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that probably happened here to some of the smaller restaurants and bars that have been closing, or some of the smaller like little boutique shops where it's like perhaps there might have been a little bit of, there wasn't as much, I don't know per se, but I definitely feel like that was probably part of it as well.
Yeah, because if you still have activity and
Yeah.
people coming in, you can rob Peter to pay Paul
Oh
for a little
yeah,
while.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But I think it's too like it was fun to see like to see how a lot of places reinvented themselves.
Hmm.
To offer, like even myself being in the band, we've thought of ways of doing live streams and things like that to still get our music out to people. And restaurants, not just doing carry out, but also selling, like packaged goods, like a grocery store, stuff like that. So I think it's neat to see how people have thought of new ideas to survive within this. I think once we get out of it, maybe people will still do some of that stuff and maybe think about it a little bit more, that
Hmm.
this could happen again. So it's like we should be prepared, So
Yeah,
hopefully everybody comes
yeah,
out a little good from it.
yeah. So, where'd you get your training?
Um, well, I guess when I first started, when I was in high school, I had a art teacher who actually kind of turned me on to graphic design. We had like a commercial art class.
Hmm.
It was like the first one in the state at the time or whatever in the county. And me and my friends, we would just take every art class that they had because we didn't want to take on, anything else. Like all of our electives were just art classes, whatever they were. So we're like, oh, we'll take commercial art, And then like I took that, and he was like, well, you're actually, you've got a little bit of an eye for this, and did the high school newspaper. I went to college after that for a few years. Left school, did a lot of band stuff and bartended and still designed. Went back to school, left again. I'm currently finishing again at UMGC, and I'm planning to apply to get my master's, to start my master's hopefully next year. Haven't quite decided yet, looking at Towson. So, but there's
Okay.
there's definitely just a lot of self-taught and just a lot of looking at the things that I love and just trying to emulate them in my own design work, Definitely a lot of trial by error, a lot of reading, a lot of videos.
I think that's amazing because you're more committed to it when it's your natural talent
Mhm.
and you're carving a path for that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have any preconceived notions or opinions about people who go to design school as
Oh yeah,
opposed
yeah.
to those who don't.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just amazing how our own journeys are so unique
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
and
Yeah.
embracing that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, from the time I was 17 when I was first applying to colleges, I was applying to, commercial art programs, and because I don't think, well, a lot of them weren't called graphic design yet. I think they still used commercial art,
Right.
so it's like people always ask me, they're like, so did you always want to be a designer? I'm like, yeah, pretty much since I was like 16, 17. Like, I'm kind of doing what I wanted to do ever since I was, I can't say this tall because I'm still that tall, but, was, since I weighed 125 pounds or whatever it was back then, but yeah, it's like I'm kind of living my dream job, I'd rather be doing it all, encompassing myself, which was another goal this year that COVID kind of put a stop to that I forgot about. I was thinking about just going full time, just the business, just my business, and then COVID kind of hit, and it's kind of like,
Well, this still could be the time for taking the approach because this time will allow you to get that foundation solid for the
yeah,
business.
yeah,
And like you mentioned, trial and error and some things like that, you can work out all the kinks now.
yeah, yeah,
And this would be like prime time for you to do that, you
yeah, yeah.
know?
Like I've been looking at I started my own Trello board, to like organize my own projects. Like normally I'm like a paper and pen guy, but it was kind of nice to have my own things to shift around and see. Like I've definitely, and yeah, like in this time, I've definitely taken a point to like try to actually build like the real foundations of the business besides just the clients and the product itself. But like figuring out a good way to do my accounting, figuring out a good way to do all this stuff, and layering it and being
Hmm.
like, okay, like having a little more of a plan rather than just kind of like taking the dive and going for it, which is still
Yeah,
gonna have to take a dive. But
you got to take a dive, right, right.
yeah,
But and that's what made me create my coaching program because we can produce awesome deliverables for other clients and we know what good brands look like, how to support them. We know all
yeah.
of that. But we often suck at running business.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah. Yeah.
And so the
Yeah.
coaching program covers all of those aspects of it, from everything to your storytelling, which we usually do it visually. We don't
Yeah.
write it out, but some people need words to make
Yeah. Yeah.
connections.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
And even down to the photography that we use
Yeah.
within our brand, and how we maintain it, how we manage everything from when a client first contacts you to the deliverable. And so we all have weak areas within that whole
Hmm.
process that need fine tuning and sharpening. So, in working with designers and managing art teams, a lot of people were freelancers, which that's just how we normally do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a job and a gig. And
Yeah.
so helping them really build that and refine that and develop that, that became my passion, because
Yeah.
I could see the gaps. And when you've made mistakes or you've gone through experiences and you're a person who cares about other people, you tend to want to help them, fill in those gaps
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not have those
Yeah.
experiences.
That's like,
Yeah.
I mean, nobody, like you're saying, like you can go to design school or whatever, all that stuff, but nobody teaches you the other side of how to write a
Yeah.
contract, how to stage your pricing, like even how to price a lot of your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a lot of those things, just like you just don't know, and you just go into it, and probably at first everyone's charging too little,
Mm-hmm.
and no one's there to be like, no, like this is how you have to break down like your time
Yeah.
and your software costs, and everything and all this, and it's like, and it's you have to design, you have to run a business, you have to, it's crazy. And
Yeah.
I have an old college professor that I'm still connected with on Facebook, and whenever I have questions like that, like I shoot her messages, or I shoot her all types of messages, design related questions. I'm just like, she's kind of like a mentor figure where I'm like, she's been doing it for quite a while, and she's seen a little bit of everything, so it's nice to be able to, because otherwise it's just, you're just out there like
Yeah.
like like
And
like
I
for a
even,
while I wasn't writing contracts, and then I got screwed over
oh,
one time, like
yeah.
I did a bunch of work, and I was chasing someone down for money, and they basically just blocked my phone and never
Yeah.
responded to an email. And it's like, cool. Well, how am I going to keep that from happening again?
Yeah. You are so right. You are so right. And that's why when you talked about the pricing, my approach is to coach people through getting away from pricing hourly,
Yeah.
but understanding what you're worth per
Mm.
hour based on the lifestyle you want to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the program, there's like 5 exercises in one lesson to help you get to that realization
Nice. Oh,
of
yeah.
what your number is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you have that clarity, you can price packages and
Yeah.
you can create packages and things
Yeah.
like that.
That's
But it
awesome.
doesn't have us glued to the computer
Yeah. Yeah.
because, oh my God, I got to make this next hour, you know?
Yeah. 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 Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I find like I try to. It's like I can't remember. There was somewhere I read where they were talking about that, where it's kind of like it's not just an hourly thing. Like sure, like it might take you 25 minutes to do something, but the fact that you can do that in 25 minutes and make it look good is what, you know, clients are actually paying for. It's not, it's,
Hmm.
it's, it's like your expertise, so like
Yes.
just because you can do something in 2 hours for them doesn't mean that it's only worth, whatever you charge an hour times two. It's like, it's worth
Right.
a little more than that because you were able to turn around quickly. It's your expertise and your knowledge as well. Like, think about all that stuff you've learned, and it's like a
Yeah. And
dentist,
it, and it's like you said, the things that you discovered that were painful things, that's part of your skill set.
yeah,
So you know not to go down this path because that's not going to lead me where I
no,
need to be.
no,
So yeah, that's called wisdom.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I've definitely a lot of that I've picked up and learned along the way was from bad experiences, so
Yeah.
or clients that just over and over and over with revisions, or just it's where by the end of it it's just like I'm not even designing it, I'm just doing what you want me to do, like and just kind of trying to feel that stuff out. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
So, I want guys, I want you in the group to partner with Matt. If you are an event industry pro and you need design work, I want you to reach out to Matthew because as I was listening to you, you did posters, you did a lot of event, and I call it hospitality industry artwork because not only did you include the food, you also included the entertainment.
yeah,
But as we pivot now because of the global pandemic, a lot of events are being live streamed, but we're not able to go from, let's say, a concert from one song to the next song to the next song. Viewers get bored. So there has to be some type of transition between there. And that's where design can come in and play a
yeah,
valuable part in that transition. So I think this is a great way for you to expand your services by partnering with event industry pros. So I want them to reach out. And if they don't, post a message in the group and say, hey, you guys,
I will.
where
I
are
will.
you?
Package design too. I also love doing package
Yes,
design. So anybody's got that,
yes,
that's another big fun one. So
yeah. So cool. So we're going to make those connections.
yes, yes,
And
yes. Love to.
outside the group, how can people get in touch with you?
Probably the best way. I do have a website. It's just Matthew Scott Mayer .carbonmade.com. So I'm
Okay.
Carbon Made on there. You can also find me on Instagram as the Domino Kid. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's a personal account. I'm working on the business one. I just haven't fully decided what I want to call it yet. So
Okay.
we're getting there.
Okay.
But probably the website's probably best, or even just on Facebook, Matthew Scott Mayer. I'm on there. So that's, yeah.
That's
And
real
on the
good.
website, there's definitely a link to contact me that goes straight to a Gmail account. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool, cool. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure
it's
and
been a
thank
pleasure
you
talking with you.
so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
It's
had so
great.
much fun with you.
I loved it. I'd love to talk longer. I would love to keep going. Trust me.
Well, we'll do this again.
Yeah, yeah. Would love to. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.